Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the open session of the September 25th, 2024 council meeting to order. Officer Lyman, will you lead us in the pledge? City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Burris. Present. Councilmember Hilberg.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Loman.
Here.
Councilmember McCauley. Here. And let it be known this evening that Mayor Douglas will be absent.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda order?
Move approval. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. And anybody have anything going on with the statement of conflict of interest? Anything change?
Nope.
All right.
On the conflict of interest? Was it? Yeah, that's the financial. Yeah.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Move approval of consent calendar.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah. And we'll move on to item 3, agency reports.
Sorry, point of order. I guess we didn't call for public comment on consent.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any public comment on our consent calendar items? Just the one, two.
Right.
All right.
If no one wants to pull anything, do you want to redo them?
Yeah,
Like just
that's
for
fine.
okay, so I'll motion that again, that we approve the consent calendar.
Second. Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we'll move on to item 3, agency reports. Foster County Sheriff, thank you.
Good evening, Deputy Boyer, Placer County Sheriff's Office. On behalf of Commander Sergeant Kevin Griffiths, unfortunately not able to be here this evening, and we do not have any significant items to report.
CHP.
Good evening, Council. Officer Jason Lyman, California Highway Patrol, Gold Run Area Public Information Officer. I don't really have a whole lot today, but I did want to bring up, as per your requests, we've been sending quite a few more units down here in this area and have been writing quite a few tickets in the last couple of weeks here for just regular, all varies of violations. And so I just wanted to let you know that we are making a concerted effort at taking care of that. Does anybody have any other questions for me? Thank you.
And we don't have any CAL FIRE here tonight. Nonprofits.
One of you's got to go first.
Good evening. My name is Tammy and I'm here on behalf of the Green Machine. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you tonight. I'm excited to share with you tonight that we are continuing the annual Trunk or Treat community event along with our second annual haunted house event, which also includes this year an escape room. We hope to work with the council to make this the best one yet. We're trying to improve it year after year, draw in some other outside community members for our haunted house and our escape room. This year, both events will be held at the community center. With the attendees' safety in the forefront of our decision-making process, we decided to move the Trunk or Treat event to the parking lot of the community center. Also, we are seeking council support for this event in a few ways. Of course, we would love help in getting the word out. We'd also love help with candy donations to disperse to the children or monetary donations so that we can purchase candy. Andrea has kindly offered to work with the council with the donations. Just give her a call or a text and she'll meet up to collect those donations. In addition, we are inviting you to help with the haunted house. This is a spooktacular event with various opportunities to help. I'm sure the community would love to see council members as haunters in the haunted house. So you're welcome to join us with that. If you're interested, there's all sorts of opportunities out to the community also to volunteer. It doesn't have to be in the haunted house. It can be, you know, helping create props, all sorts of opportunities that we're looking for. If you're interested, Lana is our haunted house coordinator. Her number is 530-635-2233. And lastly, we would just like to let you know how much we appreciate the support and helping create a safe and memorable event for our community. Thank you. Do you have any questions? What's that? All right, thank you.
Other nonprofits?
Hi, I'm Sharon Connors. I'm here on behalf of Paul from Paul's Market and the VFW Auxiliary. He contacted me. He was very concerned that the trunk or treat had been moved from Main Street, where it was normally held, to the community center. And he really wants to have people on Main Street as well. And so we thought that maybe if businesses and nonprofits, I see no reason why we can't do both. That the nonprofits can support all the businesses on Main Street. It's safe. We can block the street off, and they're going to be walking that way anyway to go to the community center, and they're going to be coming back. So what are your thoughts on that?
I have a quick question for our Green Machine representative. I'll let you get up to the mic before I start asking, so you have a chance to answer. All right, so my understanding of why the event was being moved had to do with some incidents last year where there were cars that were attempting to drive through the barricades and weren't listening to the volunteers who were trying to keep it safe. Is my understanding correct?
Actually, it was the past 2 years.
Okay.
Yes, but yes, it was a definite hazard to the attendees. And as a community volunteer, we meant, you know, nothing to them, so to speak. So they didn't see us as an authority figure.
Okay, so given that information, and I understand you probably don't speak for your whole board, and this is something you'd have to take back, but maybe you can provide your own personal opinion. If there was adequate support provided from authority figures to provide that safety that was lacking the last 2 years, would the Green Machine entertain coordinating potentially being downtown?
By authority figure, do you mean like with sheriff, CHP officers? Or do you, what are you?
That's really what I have in mind. I
Okay.
mean, you know, potentially if you have enough volunteers with vests, people also listen, but you need quite a few. I understand that. But if those resources were capable of being provided, would that be entertained?
I would definitely take that back to the table to Green Machine.
Okay. So that's probably the best answer we have, since, you know, they're the primary event coordinator. We're obviously as the city not in a position to tell anybody if they want to continue to push forward more events. We're not going to say no. It's just,
So you wouldn't say no, it was Paul wanted to know.
it would just fall
Can it be
within.
done on Main Street as well,
Mhm.
because we've done it for the last 3 years, and we
Right.
never have an incident, and we always stayed from the beginning till the end, till it was time to leave.
Yeah, it
I
sounds
know
like
one
there's
year
some
they did
legit
have an incident,
concerns.
but they didn't have any roadblocks up either.
It sounds
We
like,
really need to block the roads.
it sounds like there's solutions to these problems that
Okay.
probably need more discussion, but it doesn't sound like it's a no.
The
So-
majority of our events downtown have the barricades up and rarely have any issues. So as long as we've got the proper barricades in place, I cannot see that there would be an issue with it.
Because we do want to support all the businesses in town.
Well,
you know?
but to be fair, to validate the concerns of the Green Machine, I am very aware of how belligerent it got the last couple times. And it's legitimate that they would get sick of, having the same abusive behavior repeated. And I completely
Well,
understand.
there's no
And
bar anymore, so maybe that was maybe one of the reasons. Because we didn't have any issues. We had a
Right.
really good time every time we've done it.
But it sounds like
Can I
there's a
speak to-
conversation.
Yeah, can I speak to that? Totally understand where you're coming from, and Green Machine wants to support businesses also. But we think by moving it, just the cars that are decorated to the parking lot of the Sierra Vista Community Center, that the downtown area will still get the public, will still get the businesses coming, from outside or from the community. They'll still get the adults going into the pizza place and buying their beer or their alcohol or,
But
you know.
Paul's concern to me was, and he asked me to bring it up, is that, that's, to him, it's a tradition that there's
Yeah.
halting on the street,
Yeah.
and I understand his point of view. I
Yeah.
really do. And I don't see anything wrong. You can have both. There's nothing wrong with that because
Yeah.
during railroad days, we had 2 events and everything worked out just fine.
So it sounds
know,
like
and-
there's an open opportunity for this conversation, and it sounds like it's a longer conversation where the merits and coordination needed to be discussed. So maybe we can circle back on it outside of the public comment or the report section.
Okay. I'll bring
Cool,
that back.
thank you.
Sounds good.
But we're looking forward to doing it. We're gonna support the businesses.
Any other nonprofits? Chamber of Commerce?
Hi, everybody, council members. My name is Amanda Palmquist. I'm with the Colfax Area Chamber of Commerce. We have Oktoberfest, our second annual one, coming up this Saturday from 12 to 6. We're going to have local beer, bratwurst, pretzels. Freedom Printing will be there selling Oktoberfest t-shirts and a variety of vendors and kids crafts. We'll have a DJ from 12 to 3 and a polka band from 3 to 6, a mustache and beard contest, Oktoberfest outfit, and a Stein holding competition. And then we have some of our local eateries giving us rewards or gift cards for all that. So we're excited. We also have coffee and conversations coming up. We're going to have some of the available council members there at the chamber. So we enjoy having members from the public as well as nonprofits and businesses come and bring your questions. We'll have coffee and pastries, and that is October 3rd from 8 to 9 a.m. We had a marketing meeting. Our first one was this month. The third Monday is when we're trying to have it. So this next month in October, it's going to be October 21st. And Dr. Harry, the sales MD, will be our speaker. He's going to be talking to people about marketing topics, training techniques, and customer service skills. And that's from 10:30 to 12. Yeah. And then we were talking, I was going to talk to the Green Machine a little bit more, but we were talking to some of our other members that asked about having trunk or treat downtown as well. So we're helping to coordinate that. So I guess I'll be seeing you guys again about that. Do you have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, do we have any other nonprofits? All right, move on to item 4, presentations. We have 2 presentations tonight. The first one will be from Placer County Transportation Planning.
Well, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council and public. It's a pleasure to be here this fine evening. Almost feels like fall. It does feel like fall up here versus down in the valley, so that's good. But my name is Mike Costa. I am a principal transportation planner with the Placer County Transportation Planning Agency, or PCTPA for short. We are the regional transportation planning agency for Placer County. So we are a state designated agency that deals with all things from roads, highway projects, public transit services, coordinating bike and pedestrian infrastructure, those types of things throughout Placer County for all of our jurisdictions. And we help our jurisdictions plan, fund, and deliver transportation projects throughout the county. So what I'm going to be talking today a little bit about, next slide, please, is a couple of different countywide projects that we are working on. One being the Countywide Active Transportation Plan, or ATP for short, and I'll go into that. And then the other is our annual Unmet Transit Needs Assessment Process, or UTN for short, sometimes that I'll refer it to. Next slide, please. The next slide, please. So what is our countywide active transportation plan, or ATP? Essentially, it is a guiding document that we are creating for the whole county, and it'll be the first of its kind in Placer County. And it'll help us to establish our vision and our objectives for meeting that vision to help people bike, walk, and roll throughout Placer County. This, as I mentioned, is the first project of its kind where we are looking at not just a local jurisdiction plan or a countywide unincorporated plan that's been done in the past. We are looking at integrating local jurisdictions, projects, and priorities with the unincorporated areas so that we have a regional or comprehensive countywide ATP, or active transportation network. This is something that we are doing with extensive community outreach, and I'll go into that in a minute, but it's ultimately going to boil down to establishing a list of biking, pedestrian, and supportive projects throughout Placer County that we will then prioritize and make ready for future funding grant opportunities. That is the primary goal also of this document, is to secure federal and state dollars for our region for these types of projects. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, this is a countywide effort. There are a couple of different efforts going on at localized levels. You can see kind of with the different colors there, the different jurisdictions that are doing some level of active transportation planning work. Again, that is dealing with bike and pedestrian infrastructure and projects. But what our agency, what PCTPA is going to be doing, is taking all of those efforts and combining them into this one comprehensive plan. For the city of Colfax, we will be doing all of the work for Colfax, because Colfax is not doing any independent work itself. But for some of our other partners, they are going to do pieces of the plan that will then feed into our larger plan. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, this is involving some extensive public outreach. We've already had a first round of public outreach, which was conducted back in the late spring, early summertime. And we did actually attend, and we typically attend, local events to be able to solicit public input and feedback into our process. And here in Colfax, we did attend Colfax Farmers Market on the 23rd of May. And we also conducted a countywide general public survey that asked members of the public to identify on an interactive map where they felt there were safety issues related to active transportation. Where did they not feel safe riding their bike or walking in their community? And then we were able to use that map to be able to start identifying hotspots and areas where we could invest future dollars into projects in our network. There's more information available on our website. If you go to pctpa.net/ATP, you can get a feedback of all of those comments. A little bit of what we heard here in the Colfax area was actually, no surprise to many of you, dealt with safety issues, particularly in this case around the Placer Hills Road and Canyon Way areas leading in and out of Colfax. We did have some comments about sidewalks on the Canyon Way corridor. And essentially, we heard this from all of our jurisdictions, but just better connections region-wide to the local infrastructure versus regional destinations like different parks, recreational areas, and that sort of thing, that we heard a need for those connections or enhancing those connections. The active transportation project is a longer planning process. We anticipate by early 2025, roughly around January, to have an initial list of projects for every community that we've identified through our research efforts that are going on right now. From that initial project list, we will take the earlier part of next year to then identify priorities of those projects and prioritize them based on additional community outreach that we hear. And then by summer of next year, we will have the final plan completed that we'll bring to our board for approval. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to go into the annual unmet transit needs assessment process. This is something that our agency conducts on an annual basis, and it's due primarily because of our responsibility at PCTPA to administer what's called Transportation Development Act, or TDA funds. TDA funds are broken up into different sources. One of those sources, local transportation funds, or LTF, is something that our local jurisdictions can actually utilize first and foremost for public transit services. However, there are exceptions under TDA that allow those LTF funds to be used for other purposes like streets and roads, which actually a lot of our local communities, including the city of Colfax, utilize LTF for local streets and roads. But before we're able to do that, we have to conduct this unmet transit needs process that then makes a determination of whether or not there are unmet transit needs that are reasonable to meet. Next slide, please. So what is unmet transit needs and what is reasonable to meet? This is actually criteria up on the screen that you see that's established by the PCTPA Board of Directors, of which I know Trinity Burris sits on our Board of Directors. She is the representative from Colfax. And essentially, we have to look at all of the public comments that we receive during this assessment process and evaluate them based on the criteria on the screen. For unmet transit needs, it typically it revolves around comments that we hear that are associated with a request for a need that does not exist today, or a need that is required to satisfy the Americans with Disabilities Act. And for reasonable to meet, those essential criteria that we have to consider generally revolve around, if a need is unmet, will it be viable and feasible to implement transit services to sustain that need and address that need moving forward? And is it generally supported by other planning efforts or general public support? Next slide, please. So again, as I mentioned, this is an annual process. Typically, we start our outreach and engagement for the unmet transit needs process in the fall. This year, we launched our public survey that's available on our website, pctpa.net/unmet-transit-needs on September 3rd. That survey is available in English, Spanish, and Tagalog, and it will be available through October 31st. Once we get the comments from that public survey comment period, we will take those comments and evaluate them based on the criteria that I showed on the previous slide. And we'll work with our local jurisdictions and our transit operators to go through each and every comment before we bring a recommended finding to our board in February of whether or not there's any unmet transit needs that are reasonable to meet. Next slide, please. Again, you can provide your comments through the survey, and I would encourage you to take a look at that website, pctpa.net/unmet-transit-needs, or you can always email me any comments or questions regarding this process. And as I mentioned, we do make the survey available in English, Spanish, and Tagalog. Next slide, please. With that, that concludes my presentation. Again, thank you for having me this evening, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the members of the public and council may have.
Questions from the council? No? Any public questions? Larry, you got a question?
Yeah, are you budgeted for work to start or only planning at this time?
Are you referring to the active transportation plan?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
it's just a plan now.
it's just a plan now. What the plan will identify is a lot of our projects and project priorities and the costs associated with them, and whether or not there are existing funding sources or funding sources we need to seek for those projects. So we're just doing planning right now.
Yeah. So then you'd seek money then.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Well, one other question, something that was popular in the South Santa Clara County area when I lived there was dial-a-ride. Is that something that has ever been considered in Placer County out in a rural area like this?
Yes. That is a very good question, and it is something that we are looking at, especially in our smaller communities. I know that in this particular area, Colfax is served by some limited service provided by Placer County Transit. And associated with that transit is some ADA required paratransit or dial-a-ride services. So you would see probably a smaller bus running around your community at times that's available on a deviated basis. So it can extend within 3/4 of a mile from its route to serve the majority of the area of this city. But it is always something that we're looking at to enhance if funding becomes available. Thank you.
Thank you.
So what is the plan that's being utilized right now? This is gonna change? Like you have a plan that you're using right now up to this point, or is this a whole new plan?
So
So the old plan didn't work? Or was there not a plan?
There isn't quite a plan for this area developed. There's pieces, I would say, of planning efforts, but again, this is the first of its kind where we're really establishing a countywide plan and looking at opportunities to specifically enhance the planning efforts here in Colfax as well for this effort.
Sounds good.
Any other questions? Harry?
Easier. How much is Caltrans involved in the decision-making process? Because we're kind of like held hostage by a lot of Caltrans indecision.
That's a very good question. So I would say that this is an effort, of course, that's focused. My agency, PCTPA, is helping to coordinate this effort. It is something that we're very closely working on with our local jurisdiction partners, including staff here at the city of Colfax. However, with that being said, there are facilities like highways that could support bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure, or at least from a safety element, need to be looked at. And so we will be identifying those areas. And once we identify those areas, then we can approach Caltrans and start talking about what the feasibility of projects along their corridors are. Because most of the time, Caltrans owns and administers any highway in our region, including some of the rural highways here in this area.
And the last question, do you have anything in your department? Do you have anything to do with the Bell Road off the freeway into?
Are you talking about the interchange with Interstate 80?
Not, well, that's bad enough, but the road, that Harriet, whatever her name is, the expressway, that thing is a disaster.
So that project is actually jurisdictionally, it is the county of Placer that oversees that project. There are multiple phases of improvements along that corridor that Placer County is looking at. And it's mainly, it boils down to funding available to be able to do it and deliver some of the improvements that they have in mind.
They should ask Newsom for the 28 billion he can't find.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Harry, I should have told you not to go sit because you're up next. Our second presentation tonight is from Harry Anderson on behalf of Lisa Green with Festivals of Cali 805.
We're just making you get your steps in.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, good evening. Thank you for putting me on the agenda. Appreciate that. Lisa, I'm sure you appreciate that too. We, on behalf of Lisa from Festivals of Cali 805, I have the distinct honor to award these nonprofits with a donation. And just something I saw that kind of made me think about this evening. It says, we judge ourselves by our intentions and we judge others by their actions. And so based on that statement, the first one I'd like to recognize and give a donation to is the Colfax Garden Club. Are you here? Nobody from the Garden Club? Okay. All right, well, I never thought I'd really need these names, but I'm gonna. The Colfax Garden Club has been selected as one of the nonprofit organizations to receive donations due to its impressive work throughout the community. When an organization takes pride in its community and works to beautify it as much as the Garden Club does, it deserves as much support as possible. And so with that, there's a check for the Garden Club for $500. We will make sure that gets to them somehow. Next, we have the Colfax Lions Club. Anybody here from that? Okay. Hi, you should have stayed up here too. This it was written for you from Lisa. It says, to whom it may concern, that would be you. We have chosen your organization to donate to because we believe that your work for the community goes above and beyond. And your efforts are deeply appreciated, and we want to support your impactful and meaningful initiatives. Signed, Lisa. That's a check for $500 as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Awesome. As you know, the Colfax Lions always does the 3rd of July parade, and they love it. And they will continue to do that. That's something that they really like to contribute to the 3rd of July.
Good. Thank you.
I'll just send it to you.
I understand the Colfax PTA is not here. And it's pretty much it is a $500 donation, but I'd like to say that one of the reasons why that was selected is that's one of our cherished possessions, our children. And anything we can do to help that cause is worth it. And they need all the help they can get these days, that's for sure. And then the last one, and certainly not the least, but the people that have given so much of their life to protect our freedoms and let us enjoy what we do as Americans. This is a check for the Colfax VFW Post 2003 for $500 as well. And is there anybody here from, oh, come on down. So anyway, there you go. There's that.
I'm here for representing the Colfax VFW Auxiliary.
Okay,
And there's a little confusion about your check, but we'll resolve that
okay,
because the auxiliary was happy to participate in the 3rd of July event, coordinating the Marvell's spaghetti feed, setting up,
Right.
taking down and serving. So we appreciate everything you did for the 3rd of July. And Lisa,
thank you.
I think it was well worth the debt, and we hope it turns out again next year.
So do we.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And that's it. So I'll take care of the one to the garden club.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you, Lisa. We really appreciate all your hard work.
Thank
Thank you, guys.
It was fun.
It was a good event.
It was hard work, but it was fun.
Yep. All right.
Lisa, can you go ahead and comment?
Can you hear me? Can
Oh, she
everybody
is
hear
here.
me?
Okay.
Can everybody hear me?
No, we have you on our computer, not our screen. Hang on.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I just want to thank everybody in Colfax. I wish I could have given more to the community, but I gave what we had. And I just want to thank you guys very much for giving me the opportunity to create the event. I would say not create, but to carry it on. And I just wish you guys all the best of luck for future years.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Any comments?
I just wanted to say, Lisa, thank you so much for giving back to our nonprofits that do so much for our community. That was fantastic.
Chimney.
Yeah, can you hear me again? Thank you, Caroline. And I just want to thank Harry. Harry, thank you so much for your effortless work that you did for the 3rd of July celebration this year. Without you, I would have been lost. And so I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you did.
Thank you.
That concludes the presentation. So we'll move on to item 5. There are no public hearings tonight. So item 6 is public comment. Any member of the community would like to comment on anything not on the agenda? Now's the time. Have anybody in the community would like to make a comment?
Well, I'm here for 2 things tonight, and the first off is to support the downtown trunk or treat. As a business owner on Main Street there, we were really disappointed to hear that it was being moved. We've been a part of it for the past 4-5 years that we've been downtown, first with Grandma C's, and then with us is the wrecking crew. And we love participating and taking part in this particular event. Well, all of them, but my crew gets especially excited about Halloween. And we love being part of the whole scene, and we feel like with everything moving up to the community center, it's just alienating it to that section, and we're missing out on that whole thing. We understand there's still going to be people downtown to an extent, not like it's been for the past few years. Understand that there's been problems. Not gonna overlook that. None that I witnessed. I've been down there, like I said, the past 5 years. I didn't witness anything going on like that, but I have had conversation in the past week with several of the business owners that are very disappointed. And then officers from the sheriff's department that said that they would, in fact, be supportive of coming down and keeping an eye on the event and helping out with the safety of the event. That you guys can further discuss with their department, but they didn't seem to be too objective to that at all, because we were talking about the safety of Main Street. And then we discussed it being blocked off and, taking better precautions, seeing as how the event does seem to be pretty expansive and has grown. I don't think having two events is a bad thing. I mean, I think it can work going up and down, kids can be going back and forth, and they've got a lot going on with their haunted house up there, so they're not gonna miss out on nothing up there like that. And then we wouldn't be missing out on the camaraderie and being part of the whole thing and having downtown festive like up there, But we, as downtown business owners, we were pretty upset that we didn't even know this was gonna happen. It wasn't discussed with any of us. We didn't feel included in the whole event planning being moved up there or anything else. And, reading on Facebook and finding out that way was a little disappointing. We'd like to think that we are a community that, we need to talk these things out and see how we all feel about it. Because that is a big part of the downtown, and it has been for the last 5 years. So we would like to continue that. And we're not trying to step on toes or divide anything. We think it could work for both areas. And we think that, if we have a little support and security wise and, blocking off the streets a little better and taking better precautions like that, I think it can work in both areas, and we'd like to see that happen. And I'm in support of that, so. And then the second thing I want to discuss is we are doing a chili cook-off for the community. Now, our thoughts and ideas on this is to bring community gatherings that aren't technically, big event type things. It's just more for the community to gather and bring their best meals, best chili to the event. And, we're thinking about making these happen more often, like getting support with the businesses to maybe do like a business type cook-off type thing. Maybe a block party for block off this section of town and have a little music block party type thing. We want to see more of that kind of stuff start happening. So we're working towards doing that, and I'm in total support of that. It doesn't matter if I'm backing it or if we have other businesses come in and back it. TJ's, Dine and Dash, the new folk place down here, Snapdragon, Pizza Parlor, whoever wants to come together, put this together. But we'd like to see more of that kind of downtown stuff. So just,
Looking
we're
forward to it.
headed in that direction and we'd like a lot more support from the city and the, the businesses around town and everything to see that happen. Kind of push for that kind of community gathering stuff.
All right.
I know
Okay.
Carolyn's out of time, but if you don't mind, could you please verbalize real quick the date and time for the chili cook-off for those at home who haven't seen it?
Cook-off will be October 12th from 11 to 1 PM. And it will be in the outside sitting area, down by us, by the pizza parlor there and all that. Okay,
And they come into the wrecking crew to sign up.
they can come into the wrecking crew and sign up, or you can call in and sign up. Just give us your name and number. And they'll be doing enough chili for community sampling and tasting. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I heard I get to be one of the lucky judges too. Works. Hi, Harry.
You know, I stumbled on something today. I didn't see in my email, I didn't see a agenda that I normally get. So I said, I better get online and see if I can find it, see what I have to do. And I have to admit, that's the first time I've been on that city website. Probably a lot of people haven't been on that city website. And I came across a little subject, and it said Colfax's vision statement and organizational core values. I thought that was really interesting. So I made a copy of it. It's very short and sweet. Looks like the first section was done in 2005, if the adopted resolution number means anything. But it says, above the fog and below the snow, the city of Colfax seeks to preserve a healthy, stable, and local economy while embracing the rich heritage. Our city values friendly neighborhoods, good schools, community organizations, which help create a distinctive town in which to live and work. We value our historic architecture, rich rail history, abundant recreational opportunities, and natural resources that enhance the quality of life in Colfax. The city will continue to provide for a positive plan for growth, infrastructure, open space, and alternative transportation opportunities for its citizens. The city of Colfax will govern in a proactive manner, ensuring the delivery of essential health and safety services. We are confident we can meet the challenges of responsible growth in the future. And then the next one is the organizational core values. And that was apparently 2017. The first title is this initiative is taking independent action and or creating opportunities to get the job done and prevent or resolve problems. Next item was respecting differences. Is understanding of the differences others bring, as well as seeking and valuing others' input. Next one was accepting responsibility. Is holding oneself accountable for one's work or actions and striving for continuous improvement of the city's overall effectiveness. Next one, service motivation. Is committed to serve the public and to meet the needs of customers, fellow employees, and the city. It means focusing one's efforts on finding out and meeting the needs of others. Shares information openly. And lastly, adaptability is the ability and the willingness to accept and adapt to work effectively in light of new information, changing situations, and or different environments. I was kind of impressed with that. I go, wow, somebody really had a lot of forethought putting into that. And I just wonder how much that, actually happens day to day now. Is it just lost? Does anybody know? Is that the mantra that people walk to in this thing? But for all the infighting and biting and backbiting and all the things that we have come across, Lisa and I, doing the 3rd of July, it was really sad. Instead of working together, we had so many people working against us. And it was all, as I said before, it was for the betterment of the community. That's why we did it. We wanted it to work for people. People wanted that to happen here. So anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there for thought. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment tonight? Is there?
I missed, I missed that one. What was it?
Oh, Carolyn Preston, said thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome, Caroline. It was great meeting you.
You too. Actually, we always. We should have already success.
No, everybody in the audience said thank you. Pretty much.
Thank you very much, and I'll be back to visit.
Great. Thank you. All right, seeing no more public comment. We don't have any online. Any other public comment on that? Okay. Then we'll move on to item 7, council and staff business. Larry, do you want to start your report?
Sure. First, I enjoyed the marketing presentation at the chamber coffee meeting. That was, I thought, very successful and a great beginning. And it reminded me of a role that I have for the council. I'm on the county's economic development board, and they are interested in helping. And I've talked to Amanda about this just a little bit already about what we could do in this town. We had an economic development commission at one time, and we don't have one anymore. And so nobody's really leading that effort. I think there's a lot of things happening, but I believe that we all need to get on the same page. And I believe that the page starts with Colfax determining who we are. We decide who and what we are, and then we go from there towards marketing and making people aware of what we are. But the first step, I want to have maybe Amanda suggested November, maybe we can do that. But at one of the chamber meetings, we would have a brainstorming meeting that was moderated by somebody that's done it before. And the idea is to collect ideas from everyone about who Colfax is. And one of the things about a brainstorming meeting is no judgment is allowed. Nobody can say no. Nobody can say that didn't work before, because ideas tend to feed off each other. So again, we have no budget, and I'm interested. And again, the county is willing to help us. So I'm going to sort of try to coordinate that. But again, it's to get everybody on the same page. One of the things they talked about, we're up in Tahoe, and these people are from the community college and from universities, and a lot of people that know a lot and have a lot of experience, and they're willing to help. And they were talking about something that we haven't even dreamed about, which is workforce housing. You know, can you imagine that in a community that's already successful, they're thinking about things, how can we make sure that people can work and live here? And I told them, we're just not there yet. You know, we have to me, an empty canvas. And those of us that are here in town right now have the ability to paint it and decide what we are. Are we a railroad town? Are we a recreation town? You know, just what exactly are we, and how can we get other people to come here and support that? And one of the things that they do is called business reviews. And I believe that they can do this at the community level, where people from the community and the staff and the council can kind of get together, and they will seek from us what we need in the way of help. And they're also willing to do that for businesses. And I have a couple of businesses in mind. In particular, the first one I think that I would recommend would be the theater. Because what we need is destinations. And if we want people to come downtown, which is the reason I got on the council, totally is about downtown. If we want to get people to come downtown, we need destinations, and that's one. And some of us have reached out already to the theater, and we're asking, hey, what can we do to help you get open again? And they're interested, we're interested, it's a win-win. And there's some work going on in that area that's just barely getting started. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to seek help from them. They have money, they have expertise, they have knowledge, they're willing to help. We just have to go ask for it. But first, I think, is to determine again who we are and go from there. So it was a very enjoyable and interesting meeting, and it meets only every 3 months, but I've been in communication with them since that meeting already, which was just last week. So that's all I have to say.
Carolyn?
Alrighty, we actually had a board meeting of the Bianchini Trust Committee recently. The Sierra Vista had come and was asking to borrow or utilize some money from the principal of the Bianchini Trust. And the committee did decide to give them a small portion of what they were requesting. At this point, the Bianchini Trust Committee agreed to release $30,000 to have the heating system redone in the Sierra Vista Center so that the community would be able to use it this winter. In addition to that, we granted them $5,000 to fix a leaky pipe that is underneath the floor. And once that is fixed, to open up one of the windows and see how much damage is inside of the windows, because we know there's some dry rot issues and stuff that they are looking at having to fix. So that money was granted to them to be able to do. The Sierra Vista Center had their board meeting following the Bianchini meeting. And they were having some further discussions if they're going to continue their fire insurance or not. Because that's what some of the interest has been used to pay in the past from the trust. So I'm not quite sure what they decided on that one. We're going to wait and see. They do have a list of some additional repairs they're doing and some grants that they are hoping to apply for, but they are trying to fix some of their tax situation before they can apply for some further grants. So that was the biggest one out of all of it. Let's see, we had SACOG this past week. I got to go to the Sacramento Area Council of Governments, and that was an on-site meeting. We were actually up in Placerville and Apple Hill and got to have some interesting meetings with some of the farmers and businesses up there and how it's impacted their community and the county. And it was actually very interesting. I knew Apple Hill was big, but it's $353 million that Apple Hill brings to El Dorado County. Which makes me more excited for one of the projects that Ron and I are kind of working on to create an adventure through Auburn and Grass Valley, Nevada City, and back here through Colfax that we've been working on with some of the economic team and some of the other groups between the two different counties. So we don't need to be Apple Hill, but that doesn't mean we can't commit something kind of like it and get some of that tax revenue as well. The final art walk was this past week. Got to go to that. Had an awesome turnout between the art walk and the cars both. On your subject with the theater, you can pencil it on your calendars, but October 17th, there was looking at actually being a Placer Repertory Theater production produced in the theater on October 17th that will be free to the public. The final details are still in the work, but we are looking at an actual theater production in the theater for the community on October 17th. There is going to be a social time beforehand and then the play itself. I don't have the full graphics on it as to final times. I believe we were looking at a play time of at about 6:30 7:30. It's I believe it's like a 75-minute show, and it's called Macbeth a la Ubu. It's Merde, I Want to Be the King. So it is a shortened version of Macbeth that the Plaza Repertory Theater has on their schedule for this fall. But it's actually an event that's being put together with Cindy Gustafson, but it is a free to the community play, but we're still at the tail end of fine tuning those details. But since you mentioned the theater, I figured I would mention that so you guys can pencil it in on your calendar. We'll get to that point. Everything, all my involvement was put on hold for 2 weeks. And then now that I'm up and breathing again after this past weekend, that I'm getting the tail end of the details where we're at. So we're at the kind of the final part of it. All righty. Well, then I will throw that out there to the community for them to look at. What time's the dinner? All right. I will look into that. We'll go have free dinner with you guys and then come up and have a play afterwards. Yeah, I'll look into that because I did not have that on any of my scheduling, so I will see what they have. And I think that was it for right now.
Yeah, just another comment I meant to make and forgot. This group that's forming will be called Friends of the Theater. And they're pretty much open to all different kinds of things, you know, old movies and music. And so this group would, again, in the interest of all being on the same page, make sure that all different types of things that can happen at the theater are mentioned and that we can just get started. Yeah, Friends of the Theater, just being born in the last few days.
Just so you know, there is actually a Friends of the Colfax Theater that was started many years ago in an effort to salvage it. And I can put you in contact with the people that had done that if you weren't already so, because they got a Facebook page and everything that's still active, and that was in 2018.
Great. Trinity?
So the only item I have this evening is actually a time-sensitive item. I got a call from Congressman LaMoffa's office last week regarding a request on behalf of their office and Congressman Kevin Kiley's office for us to write a letter of support in interest of having the newly established, which is still in the pre-decisional phase, the Collaborative Combat Aircraft Mission being stationed at Beale Air Force Base. So if that were to happen, that would definitely have an economic impact on the entire region. It definitely would bring a lot of prestige to that base on top of the current existing U-2 mission that's stationed there. And it really is honestly a excellent location when you look at, you know, its positioning for the Indo-Pacific theater and, you know, our ability to provide security at that base in particular. So they are hoping that the city of Colfax, among many other government organizations that they've reached out to, would draft a letter of support. This is again time sensitive. So they are hoping that we will draft this letter of support, hopefully this week if we could, and then provide for our signatures on that and be willing to send that off. They did provide an example letter. I believe they CC'd you, Ron. Okay, I'll call David back and make sure that you have a copy of the email. Regardless, I'm hoping to get a sense from council tonight on if this is something that we would be supportive of and willing to provide a letter of support on.
I definitely think it'd be a good idea.
I do as well.
Yep.
Okay. So if council's comfortable providing direction to staff, is that something that we could potentially draft this week and get signed and sent off?
Yeah, most likely we'll talk after.
Okay, sounds great. And that's what I had.
Thanks, Trinity. All right, on September 19th, I attended the Pioneer Community Energy Board meeting. we went over and approved our 2025 to 2027 strategic plan. Staying committed to keeping our rates low for our customers, lower than PG&E's, and being able to continue that. And also offering a bunch of great programs to help people save money. Also looking at a possible major expansion by 2027. There's several other districts and communities that are interested in joining Pioneer, so that'll really help out the customer base, give us more buying power, and help us keep the rates even lower than they are right now. Also got an update on some of the programs that Pioneer offers. Right now, they're offering HVAC tune-up. I think it's $85 towards toward the cost of an HVAC tune-up. We have a program called Power Shift, where we're sending out basically flex alerts, and if you lower your energy usage, then you get additional discounts. And we also have Grid Gen program that we're working on that is providing solar and battery storage for residents. All these programs are available on the Pioneer website. You can find out how to sign up for them or call their customer service, and they'll be able to help you get through that. And that was all I had. City manager.
I too attended the Chamber of Business training event, and I just want to thank the members of the chamber for putting it on. These efforts are very much needed and very appreciated. So thank you for your time and efforts.
Thank you. We have no council business tonight, so we can go ahead and move on to go to the order. Larry, you want to start us off? You got anything for go to the order?
No, those were the things I covered already.
Great. Caroline?
A reminder that the food bank in Nevada County is at Cedar Ridge tomorrow from 10 to 1. Yeah.
No items for me.
All right. Tomorrow night is the Placer Sierra Fire Safe Council meeting right here at City Hall at 6 p.m. Love having the community involvement. Come find out some of the projects we're working on. That was all I had. Is there any public comment on any of that? A lot of stuff going on tonight. Good order. Okay. And now we're going to have a closed session. All right. So we are going to go ahead and I'm going to get a motion to adjourn the regular session meeting.
I move to
Sorry, no,
adjourn.
never mind.
I'll move that we adjourn the open session and that we accept public comment on closed session.
Okay, great, thanks.
I second.
Is there any public comment on our closed session item?
Bye.
All right, then we'll go ahead and move into closed session. See ya.
Yeah, those couple feet.
Yeah. You're too close.
That's right. I'm too close.
Yeah.
I don't even get to listen.